Hello and welcome to the Friday Total Soccer Show. I am Daryl Grove and I'm joined by the man with whom I share a Fox Soccer To Go subscription. It's Taylor Rockwell. Hello.
Hello, yeah we do. We share everything. Subscriptions and that's pretty much it.
Lots of subscriptions.
Yeah. Yes.
Howler Magazine subscription.
Uh-huh.
But we have a Fox Soccer To Go subscription so that we can watch as many Bundesliga games as we like. Yeah. And there's a good reason for that, right?
Because there are many exciting ones to be watched, and there are many young Americans, exciting Americans, playing in that league that we can watch.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a US men's national team fan, you've got to be watching MLS, and you've got to be watching Bundesliga. If anything, you don't really need to watch the Premier League that much.
Yeah, not so much.
Right?
Yeah.
So Americans are leaving.
Yeah.
Yettling onto the championship and so forth. But we have, I actually haven't counted them, but I think it's about 10 US men's national team players and potential US men's national team players.
I believe I have 9 on my list.
Yeah, 9's about 10, right?
Yeah.
In the Bundesliga this season. So we're going to go through one by one, let you know what these guys are doing, what their situation is, how much we expect them to play, and we're going to set goals. We're going to set goals that we hope these players achieve this season. So we've got to start with everybody's favourite.
Yeah, Timmy Chandler?
Christian Pulisic.
Oh, him. Okay, yeah. Yeah, let's go with him.
Christian Pulisic at Borussia Dortmund in the first team squad. By my calculation, 7th choice attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
For 3 spots.
Yeah, okay. So that's true-ish. But if you look at the way the preseason's gone, the way even the DFB Pokal games have gone, that one Super League Super Cup game against Bayern Munich aside, he's been on the bench and he's been getting minutes somewhat regularly. So even though he's not necessarily going to be in that starting 11 every single game, I think there's still a good chance he does get some games if he stays at Dortmund.
I'm going to read you the list. I think I did this on a recent show, but people
I think you did this to me while we were eating lunch today.
I've heard this. All right, so for those 3 attacking midfielder spots behind Aubameyang, which is a great striker to be feeding, right? You have Shinji Kagawa.
Never heard of him.
Ousmane Dembele.
Okay.
Mario Götze.
Oh, boy.
Andreas Schürrle.
Yeah.
Marco Reus.
Not good.
Emre Mor. And I think it's Adrian Ramos.
Okay.
I think all of those guys are ahead of Christian Pulisic in the pecking order. They're also all older than Christian Pulisic. So in many ways, there's no shame in that. This isn't weird. It's just that he's the guy we're rooting for, right?
Yeah. I mean, because
there are Colombians who are really focused on how Ramos is doing.
True. But I had this idea that even like Emre Mor was his age and that Ousmane Dembele was his age. And they're even a couple years older than him, both of them. So it still is that he's very much the youngest player of that group you just mentioned. And then there's also both Moore and Dembele are new players, as are Götze and Schürrle, as weird as that sounds. Schürrle getting a little bit older, Götze, at any point likely to expand in size, and Marco Reus prone to injuries. So there's many reasons why maybe he will be in and amongst the starting rotation, and it's not necessarily doom and gloom, he's definitely on the outs looking in.
Part of me thinks it's not a huge tragedy if he doesn't play that much. Because, again, he's only 17. He'll turn 18 in September. And he's still ahead of the curve for most kids, right? Most kids, they're getting towards the first team when they're 19, 20. But I know a lot of US fans are going to be very frustrated if they see, say, Dortmund are playing Mainz this Saturday. They tune in and Pulisic is not even on the bench. Going to be disappointed.
And I think they shouldn't be. Is
really?
where I've come with this. Yeah, because we know there's lots of stories doing the rounds. There's a story that he's linked with a permanent move to Stoke, which I don't think would be great because I don't think he makes that Stoke 11 either. So I think it's sitting on the bench and training with Stoke or sitting on the bench and training with Dortmund. I'd say you stay with Dortmund in that situation. And then it's just easy to forget that he's 17. And you really have to take that for a moment and pause and recognize that, yes, he played some games last season, had a decent season, got some goals, got that attention, but he is still a 17-year-old. Cannot vote.
US soccer is desperate for a messiah. That's what's going on, right? And I think Pulisic is the closest thing we've got to a guy who's going to be breaking into a big-name team. And suddenly, I feel like there's a lot riding on him. Like, he legitimizes all of American soccer.
Right.
If this kid from Hershey, Pennsylvania can play for Dortmund.
But if you want to go with that, then do you know who we are? We're the parent coaching their U10s, or like who's watching their U10s play, just screaming, like they're so into it, like, we've been drilling all week on this. That ball goes there. And what you want to be is that parent who's like, hey, good game, as your kid scores like 5 goals. And you're just kind of laid back about it. And you're happy they're developing, but you're not pushing them. That's what we need to be with Christian Pulisic. Because we are not in charge of his destiny. We can root for him to be successful, but I feel like getting all like, he didn't start this week, he didn't start this week, it's a huge problem. I just think it becomes too hyped and too panicky rather than being like, oh, I'm sure he's developing and it's fine.
Okay, so our message to US Soccer Nation is grab your towels and don't panic.
Yep. First of all, well done, sir.
But also,
Douglas Adams applauds you.
But also, if he doesn't make that Dortmund 11, there is a chance that he's on the move, right? There's that rumour linking him with Stoke for, I think it was 17 million British pounds. It's like $20 million, something like that, or $23 million.
I think $23 million, 20 million euros.
Okay.
It's a weird conversion
And there's
situation.
another rumour linking him with a loan move to Sportsball Leipzig, the Red Bull team, which I don't think would be the worst. Because, again, that would be stay in Germany, travel farther east, stay in Germany, play some minutes.
And I think given who they are, which is essentially RB Leipzig, which is essentially Red Bull Leipzig, they just can't call themselves that. They want, I think, the attention. I think they're trying to really establish their brand. They were established 7 years ago, and now they're in the top flight. And so I think he does make sense for them, both as a talented young player, but also a player with a lot of eyes on him. So it makes sense in that regard, but also it's a very talented player who could come in and help a team that were just promoted. I think that move makes sense. I think that move also makes sense from the standpoint of it's a move that can actually happen.
Yes. Okay, so we looked into this after the Martin Odegaard thing, right? It was basically FIFA said you can't go, Martin Odegaard, you can't go on loan from Real Madrid to a French team because you're under 18, loans across national lines in foreign countries not permitted for under 18s, right?
Right. So the rumor is linking him with a loan move to Stoke or a loan move to CSKA. Not possible.
Not possible.
You can't move on a temporary basis if you're under 18. You can move on a permanent basis if there are a couple of different circumstances, and then that's what he would be doing. But if you're going for a loan, it can only be inside of Germany.
Okay, yeah, so he either moves to Stoke full-time permanently or he is loaned inside Germany to Leipzig. But I guess we really just have to keep an eye on it, see if he's in the team, and actually see what happens before September 1st.
Right. And with that, I want to say that my season goal for Christian Pulisic is to play in 10 or more games for Dortmund or go somewhere that's logical. Because I don't think Stoke is a logical place. I think we get really excited. It reminds me of the Josie Altidore move when he moved to Sunderland. And it was like, oh, he's moved to the Premier League. That means he's legitimate. And it's like moving to Stoke where there's lots of competition for places, and I don't think it's going to necessarily help his game. That doesn't make as much sense to me.
Didn't Stoke, I just remembered this, didn't Stoke just sign also Ramadan? The Egyptian, I believe, winger. So there's that, he's 19, I think. So there's Ramadan, winger. Again, 2 years older than him. It's very much an Emre Mor type situation, right? It's another talented winger. And then you've got Arnautovic and you've got Xherdan Shaqiri. Yeah, there's competition there as well.
Yeah.
So my goal for Christian Pulisic is this. Don't do anything stupid. Because when you look at that Martin Odegaard move, when he was like suddenly felt like he was the king and he pushed for that move to Real Madrid because, look at me. And I think he's hurting because of that now, because now he's kind of stuck at Real Madrid Castillo. And I think the thing for Christian Pulisic is he should also grab his towel and don't panic and don't do anything stupid. Right?
And that's what
read some Vaughan poetry to pass the time.
I think that's torture. I'm pretty sure that's considered torture. But they can cue like no others. And that's what I mean when I say go somewhere logical, is don't believe the hype. And if Chelsea come in and make this big move, and it's like, Chelsea want me in their first team. No, they don't.
Yeah.
So it's like they want you to be loaned out and to maybe one day play for their first team.
But do you remember like post-World Cup Julian Green, where he like was itching to play somewhere and kind of got a little too pushy about Hamburg and how he refused to play for the under-23s? Remember, Christian Pulisic is 17, seems so level-headed, and that's why I think everyone's so excited about him, but just played in the Copa America Centenario. So there's a chance that he goes back and he's not immediately in the first-team squad, and he's like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. Like, I'm supposed to, you know what I mean? So just keep your cool, please, Christian Pulisic. That's my goal for him. Don't do anything stupid. And I think we're pretty good on that. I don't think he will.
I think we're good. Christian Pulisic seems like he's got a good head about him.
Yeah.
So, Pulisic done. Who should we move to next?
Let's go Bobby Wood.
All right.
This is the move I'm most excited about, I think, over the summer. So, the background of Bobby Wood, playing for Union Berlin in the second Bundesliga last year, scored 17 goals. Yes, all very excited.
Then I think most goals ever scored in Germany by an American player across like all flights.
In a single season?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. In the summer, he moves to Hamburg for, I believe, around about 4 million euros. Not a huge fee, right? So we're kind of excited about that. But then what happens, this is what's got me really excited, is who Hamburg also added.
Alan Halilovic?
Yes. Yeah. And Filip Kostic. or Kostic, I'm not sure, Serbian left winger who is really highly rated. I think they paid about 15 million for him. So now you're going to have Bobby Wood flanked by Kostic on the left and Alan Halilovic on the right. Suddenly you've got Hamburg, who kind of had anemic attack last season.
I got some stats for you there if you want. 40 goals in 34 games and a -6 goal difference.
Yeah.
So did not score many goals and definitely tried to rectify that this offseason.
So he could be part of this super new, exciting Hamburg forward line. Because they do a 4-2-3-1, I believe, and he, in pre-season and in the cup game, I think, has been the one central striker.
Yeah, and if you want to take that a step further, if you go to like the Bundesliga website and you look at their team English language team previews, I like to think it's not just because they know that a lot of Americans read English, but he is their like player to watch or like big transfer to watch.
Yeah.
That it's Bobby Wood being brought in specifically to get those goals. Yeah.
It should be Halilovic.
Probably. It might have been written before Halilovic became official.
So Bruno Labbadia, the manager, is like big on Wood. I think he said he took a big step forward in the Copa America Centenario. You're pulling a face.
I'm pulling a face because you just said he's big on Wood. But yeah, continue.
Okay. He's hyped about Bobby Wood.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. But I don't think Bobby Wood should take that for granted, right? There's also Luca Waldschmidt is a guy they brought in from Frankfurt over the summer. He's a young striker, could easily replace Bobby Wood if Wood doesn't start scoring. That in mind, my goal...
We have the same goal here?
...for Bobby Wood is to score double digits.
Okay.
I want to just see at least 10 goals from Bobby Wood for Hamburg this season.
I have start consistently, score somewhat consistently, and be the top U.S. scorer in the Bundesliga. Those
be
are my...
the top U.S. scorer in the Bundesliga.
And I do think he'll have competition.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there.
But looking at... I mean, we're going to talk about some of the guys later. Looking at this, he seems like the guy most primed to do it.
He does. There are other circumstances out there that you never know, including Christian Pulisic, who could come in and score some goals. But for me, it's more about... It does seem like he has that starting job down, and so it's... I want him to keep that going, right? So that's what I mean when I say start consistently. As we saw when we talked about the scouting reports on the last show, 2 days ago, that you had Alan Halilovic doing Alan Halilovic things, and you had Bobby Wood making a smart run to take defenders away, but keep himself like in a position where he can then help out if need be.
Yeah.
So like I want him doing that, and then I want him also scoring goals. Yeah. So it's not just about scoring the goals; it's also about being that kind of key teammate that really functions well in that 4-2-3-1.
All right, and up first for Bobby Wood, it's Hamburg versus Ingolstadt this Saturday, 9:30 a.m. All right, next guy we've got to talk about.
I said "ooh" for a reason, but we'll get to that later.
Next guy I want to talk about is not Alfredo Morales. We'll get to that. It's Julian Green.
Yep.
This is the biggest turnaround in fortunes of all the men's national team players in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, for sure.
He's looked kind of... he's looked like he's on the outside looking in, and we've all been frustrated and kind of expecting him to leave since the World Cup, more or less. Suddenly, Julian Green is not only part of the Bayern Munich first team squad for the first time, right?
Yep.
No more Bayern Munich 2 for this kid. He is now, I believe, the second choice striker.
I don't think anyone has ever been more excited to see the backside of Mario Götze than Julian Green. Because I mean, essentially, he is the backup striker if Robert Lewandowski needs a break. But also, you've got I think Kingsley Coman still recovering from the Euros, and I think maybe an injury. Arjen Robben, I believe, still out. So you have opportunities on the wing as well, where it's expected he might get some minutes early in the season.
Yep. And like we said, I think we've talked about this before, if it's a big game, a really big game, and Robert Lewandowski is injured, it's probably going to really be like Thomas Müller will play up front. What we're looking at is those games where Bayern are coasting or just want to give Lewandowski a break and give a young kid a chance and they sort of feel like they can still win, right? They're just a really easily winnable game. I think Julian Green is plugged in those games. Yeah. So he's going to be sort of at the tip of this outrageously talented attack, and we'll really see if he can finish the way we think he can finish, which, if he's playing Inter in a preseason friendly, he does just fine. If he's playing for Bayern Munich too, I've seen some great composed finishes where he's lifting it over goalkeepers and just being all smooth. He could be doing that in the Bundesliga for Bayern's first team when he gives relief to Lewandowski.
Yeah, because where I see him is as a substitute if Lewandowski needs a break. I also see him as Bayern have a huge game on Tuesday in the Champions League, and they're playing, just for sake of argument, let's say a team called, say, Eintracht Frankfurt, and maybe they want to give Lewandowski a break, so they bring in Julian Green there to give Thomas Müller a break as well.
So what's your goal?
My goal is for Julian Green. to feature in at least 10 Bundesliga games this season. For a 21-year-old American, I think we would, generally speaking, be pumped for a young American to be playing for Bayern Munich that many times in a regular season.
I like it. I think we've set high goals for Julian Green in the past, right? I'm going to set a very low goal, and I'm going to celebrate when it happens. Score for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
That's it. Just score 1 goal for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga.
You just want him to get a Bundesliga winner's medal if that happens.
Get us rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, also that. Yeah, we didn't think about this. If he's part of the first-team squad, even if I'm not sure what the rules are in Germany, but he'll probably play enough minutes to get a medal, assuming Bayern win the league. Dortmund fans are going furious right now.
And I'm not so worried about Julian Green listening to this podcast, so I don't feel like I'm lumping the pressure on. But like I said, you have injuries going into this season for Bayern. You have some people who aren't at full fitness. So I think he's going to have opportunities early, and I think it will be very interesting to see what he does with those, because if he is going to get a starting spot every now and then, or if he is going to get minutes, it's going to be very much dependent on what he does when Carlo Ancelotti really needs him. Because if he comes in and starts one game because someone's injured and looks really good, then he'll keep getting time. If he comes in and looks terrible and can't execute the game plan, then we might not see very much of him.
That's why my goal is score 1 goal for Bayern Munich. Take it 1 goal at a time.
I like it.
Up next is the guy who, I think of all of these players, he says carefully on his list to make sure, have the best summer, the most impressive summer. And his name is John Brooks. Centre-back for Hertha Berlin, 23 years old, looked unbeatable at times in the Copa America Centenario for the United States.
Yeah, and if you go, again, with the Bundesliga website previews, if you click on Hertha Berlin, the big picture you see is John Brooks with blonde hair, or with a bleach blonde mustache sort of situation happening, which says maybe something about where he stands with Hertha Berlin.
So where he stands with Hertha Berlin is he is definitely starting at centre-back. He'll be partnered by Langkamp. He normally plays left centre-back. That's where you'll see him. Like I said, 23 years old. Maybe a little background on Hertha. They were off to an amazing start last season. At one point, they were 3rd in the Bundesliga, I think, going into the winter break. Then it all kind of fell apart in early 2016.
Yeah.
They finished 7th, got them in the Europa League. They lost the playoff against Brøndby. John Brooks will not be competing in European soccer this season.
Yet. We'll see what happens in January.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking at it this way, that I'm not sure that Hertha are going to be sort of challenging for a Champions League spot again. It seemed kind of an anomaly that they were last season.
It's basically, I think the general consensus is that 4th Champions League spot is up for grabs, and there are like 6 or 7 teams that will be fighting for it.
Yeah.
So there we are. That's what I have to say about that.
Is Hertha one of the 6 or 7?
Yeah, but so are a lot of other teams with a lot of money and big players.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So again, playing 43-1 Hertha, just so you know. Ibisevic up top, Solomon Kalou underneath. That's not a bad forward line, but it gives you an idea of how that's not quite Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund standard. My goal for John Brooks is spend the whole season at Hertha dominating, get a move to a bigger club in the summer. That's it. Be linked with moves throughout the year. Get your big move in the summer with a really solid season under your belt.
All right, so 2 things with that. One thing with that and one thing with my goal. I had a secondary goal. I thought you might do one about a move.
Stretch goal?
So I've just tapped on that I want it to be a move to a club that makes sense. Because what I don't want it to be is, say, I guess I'll go with the club that I'm most familiar with. I don't want it to be like Manchester United, where there are 4 centre-backs in front of him. He's not going to start over them. I want it to be to a club...
It's a good situation right now, right? That's why I'm saying stay this season.
Right. And so I want it to be to a club that, like, really desperately needs a center back, and he is there kind of like, yes, we're getting this guy to fill that need. I don't want it to be to a club where they already have 2 center backs, and it's like, well, we're bringing in this guy for €6 million, and he'll be our backup, and maybe it'll work out, but if it doesn't, it's okay. I want it to be like a very logical move based on the need of the club and not the need of the player.
I mean, John Brooks at Arsenal at the start of the season would have been great.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But do
you have a place in mind?
Well, no, I don't. But I do think that part of the reason why I don't is because of what he needs to improve in his game. Because by all accounts, he's basically made continuous jumps in the past few years. And he's become a very good...
Does he win a header every time he makes a jump?
Yeah, exactly. That's how you do it, right? That's how they measure your progress, is every time the ball goes away. But he's become a very good defender, like physically and positionally. But from what I've read, from what I've seen a little bit, his ball playing still isn't that great. So what my goal for him is, it's a little more of an abstract goal. I want him to start getting either direct assists or MLS assists this season. So I want to see him become more of a ball-playing center back, be more comfortable playing those balls and pinging them in, launching attacks, being comfortable, because then I think that shows to larger clubs he can win the ball, he can be physical, but he can also play with the ball at his feet.
And then there's maybe a move to Dortmund or Bayern Munich in the offing, right? If you can play out of the back.
I would not have a problem with that.
When we watched him play for the US this summer, he did look like he could play balls out of the back. Like especially those like low passes into Dempsey's feet. He would split the midfield and get it to Dempsey's feet.
Yes. I think that doing that for the US national team
against Costa Rica
isn't that impressive in my mind, against a weakened Costa Rica at that.
Yeah.
I would rather see him do it on a routine basis where it becomes like a skill set, a weapon that he has.
Yeah,
I think right now.
Yeah, we know Boateng for like pinging those balls out the back.
Kind of exactly who I'm thinking of.
Yeah?
Yes.
All right. So, up next.
Yep.
Timmy Chandler.
All right.
You mentioned him at the top of the show, Timmy Chandler, the man who was almost relegated with Eintracht Frankfurt last season. He had one of the assists that kept them up in the relegation playoff against Nuremberg. What's happening with Timmy Chandler this season, Taylor?
Question mark is my answer.
Yeah.
All right. So he is at Eintracht Frankfurt. Timmy Chandler, usually a right back, has been playing center back for them at times basically because they've had a lack of center backs. They've had some injury concerns. So he's been playing there. They've brought in Guillermo Varela from Manchester United on loan, the youngster.
Back?
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
So it's maybe, is he going to play there? Is he going to start over Timmy Chandler? Is Timmy Chandler going to be a center back? Is Timmy Chandler going to go on a move to maybe another club?
Sounds like we have more questions than answers.
Hamburg?
Has that been rumoured?
Yes. So there's lots of different options out there, and that's where kind of my season goal for Timmy Chandler comes in, which is that I just want him to only get positive Google alerts. Because if you think about his career, and I think this is why I don't really have much to say about him, is because I don't really feel one way or the other about him. Because he does kind of have those poor performances for the U.S. national team. All of the previews that I read of him were basically like, he's such an up-and-down player, he's so erratic, you don't know what you're getting from one half to the other. And then you have injury concerns, you have falling out with the U.S. coach, you have falling out with other coaches where it necessitated a move. So I would like to see him be a consistent player for a Bundesliga team and just get good reports. That's what I want.
I kind of think if the U.S. was deeper at fullback, you wouldn't still be seeing Timmy Chandler. I think the reason he keeps getting chances with the US is because there are only so many options, and Klinsmann's thinking, well, if we can make it work with this guy, it'll all be worth it. Right? That in mind, my goal is, A, don't get relegated. B, don't get a weird injury when called up for the US national team. I know that's not necessarily a Bundesliga thing, but it is part of a thing of, I don't really want to go play there.
Right.
In Guatemala or wherever.
St. Vincent? No, I'm good. I'm good on that one.
That seems like a good place to go.
It kind of does. We did, when we were researching them, I saw some of the resorts that are there and the price of those resorts, and I thought, maybe, just maybe.
If things are like cooling off in Germany, I think a trip to St. Vincent's not so bad.
Good point.
Shall we talk about a US fullback that we like a lot more, but we'd much prefer to see him play in midfield?
Who could you possibly be talking about?
It's Fabian Johnson of Borussia Mönchengladbach of Champions League fame.
And I'm going to speak, with that in mind, I'm going to jump straight to my season goal for him, which is play well enough in an attacking position to make Jurgen Klinsmann realize that fullback is not a possibility for him.
Right. So, fill us out. Where does he play for Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Bundesliga and Champions League?
Right. So he's much more attack-minded for them, usually on the left-hand side. It seems like this season, if they go with the 3-4-3, he'll be one of those front three. He might also be playing wide left as a midfielder. Regardless, he's going to be much more involved in the attack. So,
Andres Schubert is the coach. And you're saying 3-4-3 is how they're going to go?
Yes.
And he's going to be either the left side of the four, which is essentially a wing back, or one of the front three, which is just a left-sided attacker, basically.
And then it evolves from there. I think it will depend on what they're doing, but he proved himself capable of scoring last season, both domestically and in the Champions League.
8 goals, 5 assists last season total. Those are some good numbers.
Yeah, and Gladbach have made it through the qualifying rounds, will be in the Champions League. I think did get one of the tougher draws you could get.
So the Champions League draws today. We're not going to talk about it in depth on this show because we haven't really had time to process it. We'll talk about it next week, but probably the most eye-catching thing is that US national team player Fabian Johnson and Borussia Mönchengladbach will be playing Barcelona, Manchester City and Celtic.
Yep.
That's the 3 teams they'll be playing. That's great tests for Fabian Johnson. Not even tests. I feel like he's so established at this point. We keep thinking of him as a youngster that needs to be tested. It's just a chance to watch him against big-name players.
And I feel kind of bad for him because he becomes like the sibling where if you've got the 3 crazy siblings and then the one kind of normal routine sibling, they don't get much of the attention because it's just like, oh yeah, he'll do Fabian Johnson things. And what's the 17-year-old going to do? And is this guy going to reestablish his form? And we're kind of neglecting the guy who regularly plays in the Champions League and does big things in the Bundesliga.
But I'm with you on the idea that I want to just see him perform so magnificently in those like attacking wide left or attacking wide right position that Klinsmann has to pick him in that position for the United States.
And I really don't mean that as a joke either. It's not like Jurgen Klinsmann can't even figure it out. I just want it to be him to have such a strong attacking season, because I think with a lot of these guys, my natural inclination was to say, like, get a move to a bigger club. And Gladbach is a pretty big club. So it's more about, like, establishing yourself as this specific type of player. And I think if you're scoring a bunch of goals in the Champions League or in the Bundesliga or both, it's tougher to come back and be like, well, I know this guy is playing in, like, the Bundesliga 2 and this guy's struggling in MLS, but you're going to be a left back. It's just like, it doesn't quite make as much sense if you're doing well.
And I think part of the reason why Johnson ends up playing fullback for the US national team is that just even though it's not his best position, he's still one of the best players at that position in the depth chart, even though it's not his best spot, which is sort of testament to how great Fabian Johnson is, but also testament to sort of how lacking we are at fullback.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That in mind, my goal, it's funny you mentioned sibling rivalry, right? My goal for Fabian Johnson is to get Thorgan Hazard relegated down the Hazard brother standings. So that really is his only competition for that left-sided attacking role, is Thorgan Hazard, Eden's younger brother, right? Right now, the Hazard brothers ranking goes number 1, Eden Hazard.
For now.
Number 2, Thorgan Hazard. Number 3, Kylian Hazard, 21 years old, playing for Ujpest in Hungary in the top division. Number 4, Ethan Hazard, 13 years old.
What is up with their genetics?
Good things.
Yeah, right?
Good things. So I'd like to see Fabian Johnson force Thorgan down to 3rd place. Kylian can make the step up to 2nd place.
You know what that 13-year-old is capable of?
Well, apparently Eden Hazard says he's the most talented of the 4 brothers. But I think he's saying that because Ethan is 13 years old.
Yeah, I think so.
So I don't think Thorgan's going to slip below Ethan.
I don't think so either. Really risky decision by the parents to go with both Ethan and Eden.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's Aiden, or however you pronounce it properly, but still, Ethan and Aiden. It's close enough that I feel like maybe you're just trying to make them confused.
Shall we move on to Alfredo Morales?
Let's do it.
Alfredo Morales, playing for Ingolstadt, 26 years old, midfielder, has been a somewhat consistent performer for Ingolstadt. Was part of the team that kept them up last year when they weren't expected to stay up because they were newly promoted. Never played well for the US men's national team.
So here's what I want to say. You say somewhat consistent. I would say consistent player. The issue is that he has, like a lot of the guys on this list, injury problems. John Brooks missed 14 games for Hertha Berlin last season. Alfredo Morales missed a similar number. So his starts and appearances don't look that good, but it's because of injury, not because he was dropped. And he's another one, kind of like Fabian Johnson, who much more so than Fabian Johnson, I guess, because it's with Ingolstadt, but flies under the radar. That's a team that finished, I believe, 11th last season. Looked kind of safe the entire time, and he was a pivotal member in that midfield. He was I think I've seen him described as a bulldog and a terrier on different occasions. Yeah,
it's a lot of basically his hard running work in midfield is part of what allowed Ingolstadt to stay up, playing I think a kind of direct, not too pretty, but kind of effective style of play. One of the problems I see for Ingolstadt this year is they lost their coach.
Right.
Lawnball Sports Leipzig came in and stole Ralph Hasenhüttl away because they thought, okay, we look what this guy does, we'll get him. Name. Which leaves them with new head coach Markus Kaczynski, who has never coached in the top tier of the Bundesliga.
And is it named Hasenhüttl? Which is,
not as fun.
That's a negative mark for sure.
So we're expecting more hard work from Alfredo Morales for Ingolstadt, but I'm also kind of expecting it to be hard work this season for Ingolstadt to stay up.
I think definitely a drop down to the table, but I think still have the talent there that they did last season to be able to stick inside the Bundesliga, and I think Alfredo Morales plays a big part in that.
What's your goal for him?
My goal is for his passing stats to improve.
So is mine. So do
you have the stats in front of you, or shall I do them?
I have them, but I'll give you the honour of explaining his passing completion percentage.
Sure. So 2015-2016, it was 58.6% is what I've got here.
That's what I've got here.
And 1.2 long balls a game. So from what I read, it's basically he does the Jermaine Jones side of the game in terms of running, knocking people over, sometimes conceding fouls. But then it's generally looking to play long balls, maybe some of those like Hollywood long balls, as opposed to focusing on the smart passing and keeping possession. And so what I want to see
And by the way, 58.6%
is real low.
Awful for a central midfielder.
Yes. So my season goal is for him to improve his passing stats to make him a more obvious candidate to replace Jermaine Jones.
Okay.
Because I think you're right that he has not looked good when putting on that U.S. jersey. I think if he emphasizes passing and improving his passing abilities and being a consistent kind of lubricant in the midfield, then I think you can justify further inclusion for him.
Did you pick a number? Because I went with, I want to see those stats above 70%. That's an achievable improvement.
I'll go 71%.
Oh, yeah.
Price is Right style.
And my stretch goal for him is have one good game for the US men's national team. Just so everybody knows.
I still don't think that he's necessarily has consistently bad games.
No, he just never has.
I think he just has like
game.
20 minutes here and 25 minutes there, and it's just kind of running around and passing and doing a job in the midfield. But to me, that says that he's being sent in to do a job and not to like start and be the player who runs the shop in midfield.
See, and I think I kind of get it. I get why he is occasionally in the US national team, because I think if you see him play for Ingolstadt, you see the impact he has, you see the hard running, you think, okay, we could use that. That could work for us. But I think if you're a kind of casual US fan and you don't really know what Morales is doing for Ingolstadt, but you see him randomly playing 20 minutes for the US and not looking good, you're sort of like, who's this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want him to not be, who's this guy? I want him to be, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I like
that
how
guy.
he did that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want people to be excited when he comes on, and that means having a good game for the US.
All right, 2 players left by my notes. Should we go with AJ or TB?
TB.
All right.
Let's go TB.
So Terence Boyd playing for Longball Sport Leipzig?
Rasenballsport Leipzig. Rasenballsport Leipzig.
Yeah.
So 25 years old, Terence Boyd has essentially been out injured for 2 years. Is that an exaggeration?
No. Yeah, it's consistent problems with his knee, forcing long recovery times, and as I texted you, some training time with the U13 team, which was just kind of heartbreaking.
I was really confused by it. So you texted me that. It's just for some backstory here, listeners. We were in the studio this morning for the Hope Solo show. I went to the cafe up the road, Pups Market, good place, I'm Grace, just to get out of the office, do some work, and be somewhere else. Taylor texted me a video of Terence Boyd playing with the U13s, Leipzig. Really looked like the 4th or 5th best player on the field. Kind of
did. That was what was so distressing. And I enjoy that your response was like, I mean, that's him as a teenager, right? That's not adult. That is throwback adult. And he does. He has all the familiar signs of a guy who's like, oh, I'm playing against 13-year-olds, so I can do what I want. Oh, they took the ball. Okay, well, now I got to try. And then he kind of tries after that, but it's still he's a big forward, and so it's just sort of like this giant walking around playing against 13-year-olds. But again, to be fair, that wasn't necessary to gauge his skill level. It was to see.
I don't think he was going 100% against the U13s.
It was more to see his comfort level playing because of his knee. They just wanted to see if he could kind of go through a light session with a little bit of pressure.
Really? Was that an actual test for him? I thought it was just like a treat for the U13s. For a senior
it was an actual test from what I understand to see. Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it for a second, it's not like a 13-year-old with how big he is going to knock him off the ball or come sliding in for a challenge and risk hurting him. 17-year-old might. So you go with that younger level just to see if he can go through, if he has any discomfort, if he has any pain, probably a little bit to gauge his fitness. If he's running and moving and there's no issues, then you can move up. And I think now he is training with
those U14s.
I think luckily I think he's jumped further. I think he's either U21 or U23s. It's one or the other.
So Terence himself is 25 years old. In the time of his injury, Rasenballsport Leipzig have made big strides. So they've gone all the way up to the top tier of German soccer. They have signed Davy Selke and Josef Poulsen. Right? They have 2 other big forwards that they can call on. Davy Selke was one of the guys who was playing for Germany at the Olympics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's somewhere in the pecking order for the first team German national team. They've also signed Timo Werner, the sort of like attacking winger. I don't see him getting into this team.
I see him getting opportunities early for the things that you just mentioned, because you have players at the Olympics, you have players coming in, so maybe he
that's
gets...
That's true, Selke won't be ready to go.
So maybe he does get a few opportunities. He has played in preseason for them as well, so I think he might get some opportunities. That said, my goal for him this season is to get a U.S. men's national team recall, and if that means by getting a few minutes here and there for RB Leipzig, or if necessary going out on loan or getting a move somewhere else, that's fine too.
My goal for him is to get on the field for Leipzig and don't get carried off.
Yep.
Right?
That's a good
Basically,
one.
get on the field, don't get injured.
Yeah. Actually, I should add that my number one goal was stay healthy. And to be fair, apparently Andy Herzog has gone and seen him train, was surprised by his level of fitness, and did say, if he keeps this up, I won't be surprised if he gets back with the team sometime soon.
Interesting. Okay. One more striker to talk about. Another striker who's been injured. Aaron Johansson. Yes. Aaron Johansson. Remember how excited you were about Aaron Johansson? Icelandic-American, born in Mobile, Alabama, I believe.
As you do.
He is finally back from injury. Here's the backstory. He joined Werder Bremen from AZ after scoring loads of goals in the Eredivisie. And I think after 6 games or so, he got a hip injury.
2 goals in 6 games.
A hip injury, then an operation, then the recovery didn't go so well, and he basically missed the entire season, right?
Yeah.
Apart from those early games. He is just coming back. I believe he has played 2 pre-season games. The dream of Jordan Morris partnering Aaron Johansson at Werder Bremen is not to be, but the dream of Aaron Johansson actually playing in the Bundesliga could be about to be.
I think is about to be.
Yeah.
Because the thing with that is that he is pretty much their only fit striker at this point. It's when I said that Bobby Wood has competition for that top goal scoring title for Americans, I think it's Aaron Johansson. Terrence Boyd, maybe that'd be great. Fabian Johnson, maybe that'd be great. But I think it's probably Aaron Johansson is the other one, because I think he will be a starter for Werder Bremen day 1. Now that day 1 is against Bayern Munich, so maybe he doesn't get on the score sheet then. But I do think he is best positioned to come in and make things happen.
And I think with only 2 preseason games under his belt, that's not that many, obviously. Normally he'd be quite far from the starting lineup, but Max Kruse has a knee ligament injury. He sustained that injury in Werder Bremen's defeat in the Cup to a third Liga team. They got knocked out of the Cup. It was a bit of an upset.
Oh, boy.
And Kruse damaged his knee ligaments. Not sure how long he's out for. Claudio Pizarro, remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Still playing for Werder Bremen. He also has a thigh injury. Not as serious, obviously, as a cruciate injury, but he may not be ready in time for the game against Bayern, which, by the way, is coming soon. It's the first game. It's US time. It's Friday, 2:30 Eastern.
Right.
So that means Aaron Johansson could start, but there's a danger in starting the season not fully fit.
Yep. Because then either you look sloppy and maybe you do lose that job when somebody comes back, or more likely you re-aggravate the injury, you do something else to your body, because once you get injured, it's easy to keep getting injured.
My goal for him for this season is to, at some point at least, be known as Werder Bremen's starting striker.
Okay.
Right?
I think that might be accomplished much sooner than you think. Because I think he will be the starting striker pretty quickly.
Well, no, but I think there's a thing where you could start because you're the only fit guy, but you're known as the guy who's kind of a placeholder for Max Kruse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want him to be known as the first choice striker at Werder Bremen at some point in the season.
I'll allow it.
Before winter.
My goal for him, I like it, is to score 10 or more goals in the Bundesliga, and please, please, please stay healthy. I feel like it's sad that for 5 of these guys, one of my notes was, please stay healthy.
Yeah,
or stay healthy.
It's true.
Yeah, so those are kind of the top tier players.
That's
that
your
we're
9 big
for.
names to watch in the Bundesliga.
But there's a few other ones that are worth keeping an eye on. Either players who might get a shot here or there.
Yeah.
Players in Bundesliga 2. I have a couple of those who I wouldn't be surprised if they do some things, if they make some noise. Who have you got in that second tier list?
Okay, let me run it then. Russell Knus at Hoffenheim and Hoffenheim 2.
Yeah.
So, but he made his debut for Hoffenheim late last season. He's being scouted by Christian Gebhardt in the Talk Show Scouting Network. Just keep an eye out for him with Hoffenheim to see if he gets some extra minutes this year. He's a midfielder. He's American. You might see him in the Bundesliga. Hoffenheim's first game is against Leipzig.
I don't know who Christian Gebhardt is, but I do know who Gepinho is. So there's that.
They've never been seen in the same room together.
It's very true. Looking at Bundesliga 2 for a moment, Jerome Kiesewetter has made that move. He's gone from, I think, Stuttgart 2 to Fortuna Dusseldorf, and my goal for him is to follow in the footsteps of Bobby Wood, have a very successful season in Bundesliga 2, and either help Dusseldorf get to the Bundesliga or get a move himself to the top tier in Germany.
Okay, another guy to watch is Ken Gibson, also at Leipzig. He is 20 years old. He is a right back. He is German-American, but he's definitely, from what I understand, he's definitely US eligible, but there hasn't really been a conversation about, hey, come and play for us. So we'll see if that happens this year.
If I gave you 10 guesses about a guy's nationality and his name was Ken Gibson.
Gibson.
Oh, Gibson?
Yeah.
Even so, I still think I don't go German in the top 10.
I'd go English, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then Irish, and then Scottish, and then Welsh, and American.
English and 55 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
You got any more for me?
Yeah, again, sticking with Bundesliga 2, I've got Fafa Picault.
Oh, yeah. St. Pauli?
Yep, FC St. Pauli, who was called into the Haitian national team, was on the bench for the Haitian national team in a friendly. I'm not sure if he played in that one. I don't think he did, but regardless, has never been tied to Haiti and did get called into the U.S. camp already.
He played for the U.S.
He did.
I watched him come on and make his
There you
debut.
go.
Yeah.
So my season goal for him is to be in the 2017 Gold Cup conversation.
Interesting.
Yes, not
Especially
necessarily
if we
the
send
squad.
Oh, okay.
But if we do send that B team, maybe because we're focused on other things, because maybe Mexico is also going to be sending a B team, then maybe he gets in there because he has a strong performance in Bundesliga 2.
Yep.
Maybe Jurgen Klinsmann, if he's still around, which I think he will be. We do know that he likes to play some players to maybe help them get some PR, some headlines, get a move.
Yep.
Maybe Fafa Picault comes in, gets cap tied to the U.S., but also maybe gets a little bit of attention at the Gold Cup.
Other guy, Ashton Goetz. You've been hearing about this guy? Right back, 23 years old, also Hamburg, so he could be Timmy Chandler's competition. I'm not sure what the situation is here because I know Klinsmann spoke to him, or US Soccer spoke to him, at least a year or two ago, and nothing's really come of it. So I don't know if he just sort of gave the US the brush off, right? Because he's born in Germany but has American eligibility. But because it's a possibility, it's worth just, especially if you're watching Bobby Wood anyway, keep an eye on Ashton Goetz if he's starting at right back for Hamburg.
All right. Sean Parker, my goal for him is to stop getting sued by Metallica.
That's a different Sean Parker.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
To start getting played by Justin Timberlake?
He's already got that.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
How about Haji Wright? Schalke U19s. Very, 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 very unlikely to feature for Schalke's first team this season.
Say maybe add one more vary in there, but yeah.
Yeah, but not impossible.
No, and he's a player who I think we watched play, we weren't so impressed by.
Yeah, we thought just a lot of athleticism and power, but maybe not enough finesse.
Yeah, but we've been getting reports on him, and we've been getting good reports on him, and so it seems like he's doing well with their academy team, their reserve team, and we'll see if he keeps working his way up. Maybe next season. Maybe next season for Haji Wright.
So, unless you got anything else, Taylor, that is all your US players in the Bundesliga to keep an eye on this season. We hope you're fully informed. Final question. Who are we most looking forward to seeing this weekend? What's the big game that you want to keep an eye
on? From an American perspective?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it's Fabian Johnson and Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Bayer Leverkusen at 12:30 p.m. On Saturday. That's an interesting one for me, just to see where Fabian Johnson is deployed if he does play the younger Hazard brother off the pitch.
I'm going to go Hamburg versus Ingolstadt.
That's the other big shout.
Because I'm just hyped on Bobby Wood with his new teammates and to see how he starts.
And also maybe that Bayern Munich versus Werder Bremen game, because if it's really tight, then maybe it's really tight because Aaron Johansson is doing big things. And if it's Bayern slaughtering Werder Bremen, then maybe it's Julian Green getting on the field.
Oh, right, yeah, that could go really well either way. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
See, that is Friday, 2:30 Eastern. We will, of course, report back after the weekend, and we'll be keeping an eye on Dortmund versus Mainz. That's 9:30 on Saturday morning, just to see if Pulisic's name is on that match day roster.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Taylor, we have a sponsor for today's show. Today's sponsor is Ruffneck Scarves, the good people at Ruffneck Scarves.
Yes, sir. They're the official scarf provider of U.S. Soccer, of Major League Soccer, of the NCAA, and of the USL.
Ruffneck Scarves is committed to providing passionate soccer fans with outstanding customer service, professional design, and the highest quality soccer scarves in the world. We have enjoyed people tweeting us saying that they just ordered from Ruffneck Scarves and their scarf is on the way.
This is very, very true. They also allow you to create custom scarves, which is an option we may pursue. We've had some interest in that area as well.
Oh, us making TSS scarves and saying that. Yeah, if you are interested in that, maybe email us, let us know. We're trying to gauge the level of interest in exactly that. They sell US national team scarves. So if you're looking to support the US in the upcoming World Cup qualifiers, which are early September, you can buy a US soccer scarf from Ruffneck Scarves, and it will be official. It will be 100% official.
Speaking of supporting the US national team, we've been doing trivia kind of quizzes here with our sponsorship with Ruffneck Scarves. We've done 2 MLS supporters groups, but now we're doing the big overall one, which is the American Outlaws.
All right, okay.
So I've got some questions for you here regarding the American Outlaws. Let's see how many of them you can get.
How many questions
correct.
You got?
I've got 4.
Okay.
American Outlaws was first started in 2007, but has grown a bit since then. How many chapters are there currently, or if you prefer, how many active members are there?
I'm going to go with how many chapters. I believe, because I occasionally visit the American Outlaws website. I think there's a celebration of either the 100th or the 200th recently. I think it was the 100th. I'm going to say there's 110 chapters.
There are 174 chapters,
Ooh.
300,000, and 30,000 active members. So there you go, 174 and 30K. Not
I could
bad.
fill a stadium on their own.
Not too bad.
Do I get a point for that?
No, you do not.
Did I have to get bang on 174?
You need to get close enough. 64,000 or 64 away is not enough.
Okay. Those are all the official ones, right?
Yes. Yeah. There are only 5 requirements to become an official chapter of the American Outlaws. How many of them can you name? I'll give you a point if you can get 3 of the 5.
How many requirements?
Yeah.
Can I name to be an official chapter?
Yes.
Okay. You've got to have an affiliated bar. I know that for a fact. I've got one. Okay. Got to have an affiliated bar.
I'll give you a hint. There's something else about that bar.
It has to be US soccer approved.
No.
Okay. Let me take a run at one more thing. You've got to have at least 20 members.
Close. A minimum of 25 dues-paying members, a base bar for viewing parties. You have to host a viewing party at that bar for every U.S. game.
For every game?
Yes. Yeah. And then the other ones, you have to complete the registration form, and you have to inform the national organization of any new members. So those are your 5 requirements.
Okay.
So yeah, not too bad.
All right.
In 2014, this is the one that I think you've got a good shot at.
Okay.
AO welcomed...
Implying that I didn't at the other ones.
Yeah. They welcomed their first international chapter, which was located in what city?
London.
That is correct.
Yeah. We had Matt Koleski on the show.
We did.
Yes.
And your final question.
Yeah.
American Outlaws is also the name of a 2001 Western starring which Irish actor? I'll give you a hint. It currently holds a 14% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
How many?
And 14. And also stars Scott Conn and Ali Larter.
American Outlaws.
No, starring
Scott
an Irish
Conn.
actor.
Is it Colin Farrell?
It is Colin Farrell.
Yes. Phil victorious.
There you go. So 2 for 4. Mostly 1 for 3, though, I think.
Thank you to Ruffneck Scarves for sponsoring the American Outlaws quiz on today's show. If you want to buy a US national team scarf or any MLS scarf or a custom scarf, you can go to ruffneckscarves.com, RUFFNECK scarves.com. You'll see all-inclusive pricing. Ruffneck's simple and honest pricing means no hidden fees, no unexpected shipping charges, and no surprises. And you can get 20% off any scarf in the Ruffneck Scarves shop with the promo code Total Soccer Show. All one word, Total Soccer Show.
There we are. So thank you to Ruffneck for sponsoring today's show, and thank you to Daryl Grove for completing the American Outlaws quiz.
Thanks for putting it together. All right, up next, Taylor, on today's show.
Sir.
We have some scouting reports. We also have what to watch this weekend. We're going to preview the weekend action based on listener tweets. But let's do Scouting Network first. Okay,
sure.
So we have, in front of me, I have 4 scouting reports from our magnificent Scouting Network.
And there's some big ones.
Where are we starting?
Up first is Scott Friedman scouting Emre Mor.
Ooh, I sometimes weirdly feel like booing every time I hear Emre Mor now because he's not Pulisic down the order.
You shouldn't. He's a good kid in a silver jacket. Emre subbed into the DFB Pokal match against Eintracht Trier with his team already 3-0 up. Within 10 minutes, the announcer stated, Emre Mor looks like he's on skis and the defenders are wearing cement boots.
Was this game on beIN Sport and commentated on by Ray Hudson?
I don't know, but I hope so. He created 4 good chances and almost scored one himself within 1 minute of coming on. Not too bad.
Thank you, Scott. We also have a report from Jeremy Kime, who is scouting Emmanuel Sabbi. I've been seeing Sabbi's name around, but I didn't read the story.
Get ready to be nervous.
Really? Okay, Jeremy says that Sabbi decided to forego a career at Akron, to sign for UD Las Palmas in La Liga. Oh, I know where this is now. Las Palmas is Canaria.
You got
right?
it.
Okay.
In the Canary Islands, yep.
I believe I've been there. He was born in Italy to Ghanaian parents, but grew up playing in the US. He's featured for the US at youth levels, but obviously not as a senior, which is a concern given that Ghana seem interested in him.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Jeremy was saying that basically a ton of the sites that have information about Emmanuel Sabbi are Ghanaian websites. So it seems like he's getting a lot of attention in Ghanaian media, less so in US media. So there's some concern that even though he's played for the US at youth levels, maybe Ghana come calling.
Right. And if he had gone to Akron, the US would be able to keep an easier eye on him, right?
Yes.
It's
also
easier
Akron
to get an eye
if
on
you want to do that.
Say what?
Also Akron if you want to do that.
Hey, I'm in charge of my own pronunciation.
True. I have started to wonder if maybe this whole British accent thing is just a way so you can maybe not have to pronounce things entirely properly, and then you can just say it's my accent. Fernando Adi comes to mind.
We'll talk about it later when we get in the go down box.
Okay. And then you hop on your velocipede.
Yeah.
James Jones is scouting Andrew Carleton.
Andrew Carleton.
Yeah, he said Andrew was officially called into the US U17 team for the Torneo de Nacionales in Mexico City, with the final group stage game scheduled for August 28th. That's important because that means he might return in time for when the Charleston Battery come midweek to play the Richmond Kickers.
Yeah.
If not, the Richmond Kickers do play Charleston one more time at home this season after that. So we may still get to see Andrew Carleton playing for Charleston in USL.
And just in case anyone's unaware, the big backstory on Andrew Carleton is this, like, I think he's 16, 17, really highly rated attacking player. I've seen footage of him like zipping down the line. He was signed as Atlanta United FC's first homegrown player. So he's on the Atlanta United roster for their first season in MLS, 2017. This year he's on loan at Charleston Battery.
And weirdly, this is a product of doing the Scouting Network and doing this show 5 days a week. He is the player I am third most excited to see on that U17 roster.
Is that right?
Yes.
Who are you also excited about?
Chris Durkin is number 2,
yes,
who plays for the Richmond Kickers. And number 1 is Tim Weah.
Oh, Tim Weah.
Yes.
I'm surprised you haven't got a report about that, because Tim Weah, we normally get good reports.
We do. Yeah, George Weah's son playing for PSG's academy, but from New York, playing for the US U17s.
Right. Good stuff, good stuff. Last but by no means least, he says, as he sees what it is, scouting report from Richie Garcia.
And it's a good one.
On Emerson Hyndman, Bournemouth's own Emerson Hyndman. Richie says, Bournemouth manager Eddie Howe praised Hyndman and said that he would see League Cup action because he needed match fitness, and he did in the 92nd minute. Unfortunately, Richie's phone rang at that exact moment, and by the time the call ended, the game was over.
Yes. So Richie's, I think, hoping that maybe next appearance for Emerson Hyndman is a bit longer so that he gets to see a bit more of him, or any of him at all.
But at least this means that Hyndman is back from that injury that made him miss the start of the season.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So 4 solid scouting reports there. Thank you to everyone who wrote in. Thank you to the many people who have been doing a good job of keeping us updated with all of the Scouting Network members.
And I believe there'll be more scouting reports to come starting early next week.
Now that all leagues are back in action, I'd say so.
If you would like to join the Total Soccer Show Scouting Network and support the show, support TSS, you can go to totalsoccershow.com/subscribe, make a voluntary subscription, and we will assign you a player to scout. Thank you to everybody who has done that and who will do that.
And thank you to everyone who tweeted us their suggestions for what to watch this weekend.
Yes. So I just took all of these, picked out the ones that seemed the most appealing from all the tweets we got. I've noticed most people are just letting us know who their team is playing.
Pretty much.
But it is a good guide to what most people will be watching this weekend. It's not in chronological order. It's sort of in the order I received them.
Gotcha.
Okay. So what to watch this weekend? First up, on Sunday night, it's Portland versus Seattle. It's the reverse of last week's game. It's Sunday, it's 5 o'clock Eastern, so 2 o'clock Pacific, on ESPN. Joe Martella says Portland-Seattle, rematch from last week, Sounders on a 5-game unbeaten streak and fighting for a playoff spot. It was an exciting game last week as well. I really, really enjoyed watching it. Christian Roldan doing his business.
Lots of stuff to keep an eye on in that game.
Did you see what happened to Roldan in midweek?
I did not.
So he was playing against Houston, I believe, doing his normal, like, smooth, clever, tidy passing, all of that stuff in central midfield. I think he tried a sort of a Cruyff turn top of his own box, got robbed of the ball, Houston scored. Okay,
well, that's fine. As long as it's not like try to Cruyff turn and tore his ACL.
Oh, no,
that would be more of a bummer.
He's perfectly fine and uninjured, but he got caught on the ball, basically.
I did enjoy that his tweet after that last Seattle-Portland game, I think, was just like, that was fun. Which I think is a good response.
Worth noting also, it's also Portland-Seattle in the NWSL this weekend.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Big weekend. Yeah. Big weekend.
It's rivalry week.
Yeah, it's also a kind of a big weekend on Saturday on NBC Sports Network. So saith Ryan, who mentions that we have Spurs v. Liverpool. Ryan notes it as a 4:30 a.m. kickoff, which means
we know
poor Ryan is on the West Coast.
Yeah. Here on the East Coast, it's a 7:30 a.m. kickoff, which I always think of as painful until I remember where people like Ryan live.
Yes.
And I hope those people have DVRs.
Yeah, and Jake Pittman also recommended that game, saying it's basically pressing versus even more pressing. I'm not sure who's doing the even more pressing. I'm guessing it's Liverpool.
Yeah, because Spurs is more like we don't go all out crazy, but we try hard, we work hard and win the ball back after the opposition gets it.
This makes sense. And then the last one, Stephen Smith or at Rump Thump. It's beautiful. Kane Jansen need to jumpstart scoring and get the groove going. Liverpool defense seems like a good start. I'm guessing Stefan might be a Spurs fan.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. All right. So, yeah, but Spurs v Liverpool, I will be watching Saturday morning, and I guess we'll have something to say about it on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Or Stefan. Stefan, or Stefan. It could be either one.
It's Stefan. It's okay. Stepho.
There we are.
Stefan.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Stefan Smith. Hull versus Man United.
I think I was going with Stefan Urkel. Steve Urkel's suaver brother, or alter ego, I guess.
Hull versus Man United is Saturday, 12:30, and it's on big NBC. It's on the mothership. Mike Weiss says both have surprised for different reasons, and it's a battle for the top, which is weird, right? Ray says, because I'm a United fan, and in this game, only one team can maintain their winning streak of 2 games. It's kind of true, right? Something's going to end here.
This is true. We also get a recommendation for Watford v Arsenal, which is Saturday, 10 a.m. It should see the returns for Mesut Ozil and Olivier Giroud.
Jeff
Want to keep an eye on
that, yeah. Also, 3 recommendations for NYCFC versus Orlando. This game is Sunday, 7 o'clock Eastern on Fox Sports 1. So this is like the other MLS game after Portland-Seattle. Scott Interante says NYCFC facing up against their former coach, right? Because Jason Christ at NYCFC, now at Orlando. Tyler Nelson says this game has the potential for 13 goals. And that got me thinking, I wonder why he says that. And then James Claceman emails in and says, I was thinking NYCFC versus Orlando City, but I could just watch my kitchen faucet continuously leak instead of the Orlando backline.
Final one.
These final 4 were added by me.
Oh, they're added by you. We've got Athletic Bilbao versus Barcelona, Sunday, 2:15. I think you'll
find it's Athletic Club de Bilbao.
Fine. 2:15 on beIN Sport.
Yeah, it's Aymeric Laporte, we hope he's back, Aymeric Laporte, against Leo Messi et al. So after what happened against Real Betis, I want to see Barcelona up against a proper defence.
Up next, we've got a good team in the championship versus a crap team. In Huddersfield, the good team versus Wolverhampton, 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, first in the championship, plays third in the championship. Huddersfield v Wolves, 10 a.m. Just putting it in there because it's a big game.
Oh, yeah?
But speaking of the championship, Newcastle v Brighton is 12:30 Saturday afternoon. It could be, it won't definitely will be, it could be DeAndre Yedlin's debut.
You're such a sweetheart.
Why is that?
Because the 3 that you chose to add were Huddersfield Wolves, Newcastle Brighton, and Bilbao Barcelona, as though those are on the same level of event.
Well, they're on the same channel.
This is true.
So Newcastle Brighton, if you want to try and catch DeAndre Yedlin's debut, Newcastle Brighton is on beIN Sports Connect. The way to watch that is you need to download the app and have a beIN Sports subscription, and then you'll be able to watch Newcastle v Brighton. Before you put all that effort in, maybe check if Yedlin's going to play.
Yeah. Maybe do that.
So there's your weekend preview. We know there are many more games to watch. We will be back to review the best of the weekend's action on Monday morning.
Is plan.
We promised that we would be talking to Laura. Laura Coots is coming into town. She's going to play Wikipedia game with us. That is still happening Friday evening, but we're going to save that and put it out maybe sometime later next week.
Right.
Taylor Rockwell, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Daryl Grove, thank you for taking the time to talk to me today.
Listeners, thank you for listening for another full week of the Total Soccer Show. We're 3 weeks into 5 days a week, right? That's 15 shows in the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
On a roll. We hope you'll stick with us, and we hope to talk to you again on Monday.